everybody, welcome back to the YouTube channel. Today we are out here nearly finishing our first cutting of hay. We have one more day to cut. My husband came out, did a lot of cutting this morning. The kids and I brought him lunch, had a nice little picnic under this walnut tree, and I've just been kind of having a slower pace sort of day. A lot of times I water all the farm trees that we planted this year in the evening. I got to them all a little earlier today. It's a hot one, and it's going to be real hot tomorrow. So to not lose all the leaves from tedding or from raking, you don't want to get to it too late in the day, because with that heat it just gets too dry. You'll lose all your moisture, and when you go over with the tedder and the rake, they just shatter. It's called leaf shatter. We want to keep that in the bales. So I don't ted very fast. I generally do it in third or fourth gear with very low to no throttle. Fourth gear seems to be pretty good on this type of land. Another section he had me working on, I was doing it in third gear and it was fine. This is a lot more slopey with high hills. And the third gear just doesn't really have the power to keep everything going as much as fourth gear. So I just tend to prefer that with a little bit of throttle. A lot of deer have been nesting and hiding in here. They're at the point that there seems to be two does hanging out at the end of the field with a couple of babies. They're not even scared. They kind of run off and hang around. The babies stay at the edge of the field for a while. They come back in. So I'm gonna set you guys up on the front of the tractor. It's terrible noise quality, so I'm just going to run it through a little bit of fast forward, play a little music montage for you, and you can enjoy the scenery while I do my tedding. This is the section that I tedded yesterday, and my husband and my son are out there raking it today. So they're gonna go around the edges where the two sections meet, so that anything that I ted today from this section won't go over there. Now in one of the last videos I talked about his little strip that he leaves. That is because the end of the sickle bar mower does not like to cross paths of the grass that's already been cut. It tends to bind up in it. Today when he was about partway through, he lost a spring that helps to lift the whole arm of the sickle bar mower. So we're kind of in limp mode. We have a second sickle bar mower, and that has turned out to be a wonderful part supply for us. So the spring that he is missing today, we looked up online, over $300 for that one part. We're able to just take it right off of the other one and keep going on it. We've been clipping right along. I don't even know how many acres we've done at this point. We're at over 1,000 bales. I've got 140 bales sitting at the barn that we have to put up tonight before it gets too damp. The hay rake has had to have a couple of rebuild. The hay rake has had to have a couple of rebuild jobs on it. We've had some bad bearings at the ends of the bars. One was real bad at the beginning of the season. We limped it by. It took a week to get the parts. We had them go ahead and order more parts, knowing that the other bars were gonna all need to be replaced. I believe it's a 5-bar, so he's got all his parts on hand. Each bar is costing, I think it was about $114 for the parts. For the basic rebuild on it. The one he had actually had limping by was destroyed, and it cost him like $160 to rebuild that one. So it is important to check out your equipment. He greases it every time he uses it. He's real fanatic about that. He even lost a spring in his grease gun today, so he's gonna have some shopping to do. I myself have planned to go out and do some shopping today. The parts list gets longer and longer, but there's some things that we need for the farm, there's things that we need for the home, there's parts that we need, so there's gonna be hardware store type items, tractor supply, farm and home type items. We got to get out, but this hay is priority, so I'll go do that in the evening after all this farming is done. degrees cooler today than it was yesterday. Very high humidity. So he didn't want to just start right out baling it. He wanted to see if it was dry enough or not. And they make windrow testers, but for the several $100s that they cost, he just does it the old-fashioned way and tries to feel if there's too much moisture in it to bale or not. Hi. Hi, Bethy.
Hi, Mommy.
Say hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
So I went through here yesterday. I tedded all of this. It was like, I don't know, 21 rows, 23 rows with the baler in some areas. And then a couple of rows over here. Trey went through, did all the raking. He wants to do raking and baling together at the same time. He really likes the operation of running more than one tractor. It's that farm simulator game and watching big guys like. Hey, look! Oh, I lost him.
Guess what?
There was a little bug on the grass. Like a crawler sort of thing, I dropped him. So we've got all this to rake and bale today and put up. We just had a quick snack after putting up 230 bales into the barn. So will we have to get this up tonight, or what do you think?
Whenever.
Okay.
It's ready to bail though, so we can rake and bail, right?
All right, we'll get these guys back to get their equipment, and I'll come over and film and show you what it all looks like.
It's been going this way, that way, back and forth. It's really exciting for me. I bet it's going to happen today if it's flowing out. Hasn't flown out yet. I think it's
Show me which one.
It's this one right here.
Yup, Bethany's about to lose her first tooth at 6 years old.
Yep.
Yay.
It's really fun.
That's right.
And I need this little thing.
Okay, well let's leave that here for Daddy to bale. Oh yeah, that's plenty dry. Hear it? Okay, let's go get the equipment. Okay, so we're here to do some hay raking. We are moving out of transport mode. So to take it off of transport mode, you reconnect your drive shaft to your rear wheel. It's all ground driven. And then he lifts it up. He's got the 2-hand cranks here. I'm gonna ride with ya. Guy, I'm riding with you.
He's coming right back after that round.
All right. Guy's hauling a yank to get to it, and he doesn't want to have me riding with him yet. I told him he's got to let me ride with him because I haven't gotten any footage of the baler or the rake this season. And this is our last section for first cutting that we're working on. He turns too sharp. So how many acres of hay? How many acres of hay have we done?
40,
And how many acres of hay did you plant?
35, and then we're gonna plant 3 and 5.
Okay.
Let's get in shape.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right, so Trey and I are out tedding. We're running the John Deere 70. And we're going along with our little... I said we're tedding. I do it all the time because I've been the tedder this year. Woo! or maybe it's just a different woodchuck, but we have to go through and fill them because some of them are deep, some of them are wide, and some of them are housing multiple woodchucks. The child has been introduced to iced tea. So I got off the tractor because there was a piece of our old wooden wagon on the ground. I said, I'll just film you for a little bit. And I got off the tractor and we have a small insulated cup and a water bottle. So I was hanging on to both of them and got off. He has found he really likes the iced tea and he demanded I trade him back. So I have the water and he has the iced tea. I don't know if that black tea and orange something Pico tea is decaffeinated or not. It really didn't say on the container. I used to always just make it with green tea. But since the whole situation started with the world, we had to stop buying any kind of Coke because I didn't want all the cans piling up, and he certainly does not need the caffeine from the Coke. He is doing a great job, but boy, I'll tell you, these short rows right here, I was getting motion sick. We're making some nice hay, but you can see there's a bit of dust. It is dry and sandy back here. The whole back hillside here has quite a bit of sand. Go ahead. Isn't that nice? He wanted to see if I needed a ride. Uh-oh. Getting caught up on that tree branch. This old fella knows my husband likes these old tractors, and he had this spare umbrella sitting around, so he gave it to us. And he put it into use yesterday without me knowing, and I came out and we both were working under umbrellas. you know, 90 degrees, but under an umbrella was so much better than sitting there getting baked by the sun. So here's my husband. He's pulling the baler with the 720, and this is the baler we completely rebuilt in paint at the beginning of, I believe it was last year. We still have a cover panel that we didn't put back on. It had a thin spot in the metal with a crack, and I wanted him to weld it before I painted it. And his honey-do list, he just never gets caught up with it. That's why I do so many repairs on my own. Welding just is not one of those things I've learned yet. Hayfield and the hill. So we're going to go back up into lush territory and see those nice square bales. Okay, so right here you can see one of our finished bales. He makes them very tight, very heavy. And I happen to know from a little bit of research and some talking with some people in the neighborhood that we have the heaviest, thickest bales. Some of the customers have actually asked us if we could make them a little bit lighter. The thing is, you start making them light, and then the people who are used to the value that they're getting start complaining that they're no longer getting that value. Our bales probably run anywhere from 50 to 60 pounds, depending on the soil type in different areas of the field. Like right up in here, I'm on a very sandy hill, so the grass isn't as thick. Where I was standing on the back side of the hill is very sandy. In a lot of areas back there, the ryegrass is growing really well back there. You can see there's a little bit of ryegrass growing here. In other areas, almost no alfalfa was growing at all. So if you see these wires here, this is some high tensile fencing that we had set up on a solar fence, and this is the apple orchard that we planted a couple of years ago. However, now there is no longer an apple orchard. Some of the trees did not make it through the very first winter, and it was all due to deer damage. So we made some adjustments, and the solar fence was not enough to keep them out. I don't know if 3 wires wasn't enough with the baby deer, or if it was the spacing. So we're gonna try again, and we're gonna put in 4 or 5 wires, and we're gonna individually cage the trees, because we just cannot keep on planting an orchard over and over again, and now we're 2 years behind. If there's any advice I'm going to give you at all, it is to individually cage your trees and plant those trees as soon as you can. If you're new into homesteading and you want to have an orchard of any kind, it takes so long for them to get going and get established. I've got some peach trees in the yard. The max I've gotten is 3 peaches from 1 tree. Last year we had a late frost and we didn't set up our smudge pots. And all those blossoms got froze off. It was too cold for too many nights, and there was no fruit. Now I have gotten a few cherries. We already had a backyard apple orchard established, which was a great gift that we were able to get in the purchase of our farm. But we've added many more trees because of the age of those trees being so old. But it's a continuous process that you're constantly adding. He makes me so nervous with those corner posts for the tension that we put in, but he does really well. He's used to doing this job. Generally not without obstacles though. I've warned him on all the 3 other corner posts, so he knew to watch. Last week I looked into the buggy style canopies for the tractors, and the biggest you could get was 48 inches, and then there was a 40-inch canopy you could get also. And I thought that might be a little nicer to have the canopy over the umbrella, but then we were going to be losing quite a bit of shade and shelter from that. These are measuring, I think it was 56 inches wide. And because it's not a rectangle and it's a square, you can also adjust it on different angles and you can tip it. So I think he's going to want to stick with the umbrellas. But what a find to have that umbrella given to him. Everyone gets little blessings in different ways, and it was just nice to have somebody be thoughtful and to think of us that way. So we looked in our little notebook this afternoon, and we've been cutting hay for 2 weeks. During that 2 weeks, we've been making plenty of other videos, doing editing and getting those posted while we were working on filming these segments. Now with this field being one big open field and never knowing quite exactly what's going on with the weather, the shot that I gave you early going into this field this morning when we were checking to see if the hay was dry, there was very unnatural clouds. These are natural clouds. It's beautiful. Those were what's called chemtrails. They're moving on. They've moved out of our area with a little bit of wind, but you can see just a little bit here and there. Now, a lot of people are like, oh, hogwash and bullpucky and whatever, but I've looked into it and it's not natural, and I don't know exactly what the whole deal is with it and why they're doing it. I remember learning about cloud seeding when I was in high school and things like that, pertaining to controlling the weather and the rainfall. So I know sometimes we're a little off about different things and some people think we're crazy, but it just kind of depends on what you're learning about, and not like, we're not talking about like government control or religious beliefs, just like actual facts and science. That being said, there's a lot more to making hay than just throwing some grass seed on the ground, letting it grow, cutting it, baling it, and putting it into the barn. There's moisture and there's different proteins from all the different kinds of seeds. You know, we plant a huge combination of many different seeds because we want to make sure that in a drought or in a heavy rain that the different plants will do well, and one plant doing poorly can easily be made up for by another plant doing well. So in our case, we plant alfalfa, we plant 2 different kinds of clover. Occasionally here and there you might see a little bit of old-fashioned yellow sweet clover. The new hayfield, I'm seeing a lot of old-fashioned sweet clover showing up. A lot of people don't like the vernal alfalfa because they say it's only good for 2 cuttings, but we've gotten 3rd cuttings out of the alfalfa and not had winter die off. We have had harvests in November and December, and we still end up with these beautiful lush hay fields in the spring. I was picking up hay just before a snowstorm out here in November and December this past year. It was a very late cutting, and for us, that was a 2nd cutting. This field had not hardly been touched. Some areas, it had been a 1st cutting because he was so busy last year. So a lot of people in our area like to plant just grass seed only. The trouble is, in a drought, you're not going to get grass. It can dry up and die. Right now, the areas that we have been driving on are crispy and crunchy. Just the ditch area where we drive in and out of the fields, it has just lost its color. It's not green and lush. Like, this is a ditch right behind me between our field and the roadway, and it is green and lush. And the areas that we've driven through are crushed down. They're white, they're brown. We've been probably 7 to 10 days without a rain. We check the weather forecast to find out what day we need to be done. It's Thursday today. I think we've had 1 rain since we started our original 1st cutting in the waterway, and that was right after we had gotten the far north field planted. So all of these fields are ready for a rainfall. We always check the weather to kind of see when we need to be done, how far out we can cut to make sure that it gets baled and put into the barn without getting rained on. Those hay customers never like that when it's getting rained on. It's fine for cow hay, but if you're wanting to make horse hay, you want to make sure it's nice and it's dry. And if it gets rained on, that means coming out and raking it again to make sure that it's dry. So there is a lot of science and a lot of years of experience in planting, growing, and making hay. And there's still lots more that I can learn, so if you have any information for me, drop it in the comments down below and share it with the YouTube world. So that's it for today, everybody. Thanks for watching, and enjoy the following video montage of the boys doing their hay. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
years old,
George, come on.
and I lost a tooth, and I'm really excited to fall asleep. Right there, it fell out, and I'm really excited because then the tooth fairy's gonna come.
Yay!
Yeah, and
so
she's gonna put her money under the pillow for me. Fall asleep, wake up in the morning, check under it, and at night she replaces it with money. Hello.
that's right.
It's really fun using it too.
So just like we predicted earlier today in the hayfield that it was gonna come out today, it did.
Yep, it was swinging around because it was in hayfield, and it was a bunch of bumps, and it made it swing around and around until it fell out.
Yeah. Right after dinner.
Yep.
So let's get ready for bed and brush our teeth and be all nice and clean and put our jimmies on for bed.
Okay.
Okay. See you tomorrow.